Well, good morning and welcome back to the Daily Bible Chapter. Good afternoon and good evening if you're not one that listens in the morning. Today is April the 11th of 2022, and today we are in Joshua chapter 6. And Joshua chapter 6 is the destruction of Jericho. Now Jericho was securely shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out, none came in. And the Lord said to Joshua, "See, I have given Jericho into your hand, its king and the mighty men of valor. You shall march around the city, all you men of war. You shall go all around the city once. This you shall do for 6 days. And 7 priests shall bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark. But the 7th day you shall march around the city 7 times. And the priests shall blow the trumpets. It shall come to pass, when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, that all the people shall shout with a great shout. Then the wall of the city will fall down flat, and the people shall go up every man straight before him." Then Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said to them, "Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord." And he said to the people, "Proceed and march around the city, and let him who is armed advance before the ark of the Lord." So it was, when Joshua had spoken to the people, that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the Lord advanced and blew the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. The armed men went before the priests who blew the trumpets, and the rear guard came after the ark, while the priests continued blowing the trumpets. Now Joshua had commanded the people, saying, "You shall not shout or make any noise with your voice, nor shall a word proceed out of your mouth until the day I say to you, shout. Then you shall shout." So he had the ark of the Lord circle the city, going around it once. Then they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. Then 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord went on continually and blew with the trumpets. And the armed men went before them, but the rear guard came after the ark of the Lord, while the priests continued blowing the trumpets. And the 2nd day they marched around the city once and returned to the camp. So they did 6 days. But it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day, and marched around the city 7 times in the same manner. On that day only they marched around the city 7 times. And the 7th time it happened, when the priests blew the trumpet, that Joshua said to the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. Now the city shall be doomed by the Lord to destruction, it and all who are in it. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all who are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that were sent. And you, by all means, abstain from the accursed things, lest you become accursed when you take of the accursed things, and make the camp of Israel a curse, and trouble it. But all the silver and gold, and vessels of bronze and iron, are consecrated to the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord." So the people shouted when the priests blew the trumpets. And it happened, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat. Then the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city, and they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, ox and sheep, and donkey, with the edge of the sword. But Joshua had said to the 2 men who had spied out the country, "Go into the harlot's house, and from there bring out the woman, and all that she has, as you swore to her." And the young men who had been spies went in and brought out Rahab, her father, her mother, her brothers, and all that she had. So they brought out all her relatives and left them outside the camp of Israel. But they burned the city and all that was in it with fire. Only the silver and gold and the vessels of bronze and iron they put into the treasury of the house of the Lord. And Joshua spared Rahab the harlot, her father's household, and all that she had. So she dwells in Israel to this day, because she hid the messengers whom Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. Then Joshua charged them at that time, saying, "Cursed be the man before the Lord who rises up and builds this city Jericho. He shall lay its foundation with its firstborn, and with his youngest he shall set up its gates. So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame spread throughout all the country. Joshua chapter 6. I don't know, a couple of things stand out to me as I read through that chapter, and one of them is that, they blew the trumpet, and then they shouted, and the walls fell down flat, and I knew the story of, the walls falling down, but I guess to me as I read this today, it seems important that the walls fell down flat, and I guess I took that to mean like, it fell down in a way that you could easily get into the city and conquer it, as opposed to having to, be careful and go over all the jagged rocks and the jagged edges that could cause you a lot of trouble. As I read, and I don't know that that's right. I'm just, as I read it, that's what entered my mind and said, like, it fell down flat, such that you could just run in and take over, because you would have been easily, potentially picked off or taken down if you had to watch every step to try to get over all this rubble, as the wall fell. So I don't know that that's right necessarily, but that's like the visual that I got when I read through there. And I also was thinking about, my understanding is Moses, when they were there, he struck the rock when God had told him to speak to the rock. And it wasn't a hard instruction that was given, but it was an important instruction, and it was important to God that you listen and trust God. And here, Joshua is told, every day for 6 days you're going to walk around Jericho, blowing the trumpets with your army, and do nothing. And then, on the 7th day, you're going to walk around 7 times, and then blow the trumpets and shout. And to me, I just had this sort of recollection back to, Moses being given a fairly simple instruction and taking matters into his own hand. And then, what would have happened if that would have happened here? Clearly the walls wouldn't have fallen down, I guess, so it probably would have been a very different story. But, I was thinking about, the instruction was very simple. It was very capable. It wasn't so challenging that he couldn't do it, and that, that it was something that was going to require a lot of him. It was just simply listening and following instruction. Walk around 7 times, blow the horn, then shout. None of that would be difficult. But he had to do it the way that God instructed it and the way that God wanted it. And sometimes I think what I was trying to get at, or what I was thinking about, is that maybe sometimes we're trying to overcomplicate God's instructions to us, and we're trying to take things into our own hands because it's, it seems more miraculous or whatever. And maybe God's instructions to us are very simple and easy, and we are very capable of doing what God has instructed us to do, but we're overthinking it or trying to make it more than it is. So anyway, that's what I was thinking about. So that was Joshua chapter 6, and I hope you'll join me tomorrow for Joshua chapter 7. Have a great day.